Hi, I'm professional photographer and photography instructor Nick Carver. Today we're going to talk about the ISO. Now this isn't going to be an instructional video about what ISO settings to use in certain situations, but instead I want to talk to you about the origin of the term ISO and the correct way to pronounce it. But first, let's get everyone on the same page. The ISO numbers in photography indicate how sensitive a particular film is to light. Higher ISO numbers indicate that the film is better at soaking up light, which is good for dimly lit situations. And of course, this applies to digital as well. Your digital camera will have an ISO setting on it, and that indicates how sensitive the camera is to light, how good it is at soaking it up. And again, higher ISO numbers are better for dimly lit situations. Now, since the ISO is written in all capital letters, many people assume that it's an acronym. And through research online, you'll come across various resources that indicate it stands for the International Standards Organization. You may read something that says the International Standards Organization sets these numbers, and that's why it's called the ISO, because it's an acronym for International Standards Organization. Sounds pretty believable. The only problem is, there's no such thing as the International Standards Organization. It doesn't exist. So the ISO can't be an acronym for the International Standards Organization. But here's where it gets a little confusing. Although there may not be an International Standards Organization, there is an International Organization for Standardization. And they do set the ISO numbers in photography. They set the ISO numbers for the entire world. They set international standards for a lot of industries, including engineering and manufacturing. So if the International Organization for Standardization sets these numbers in photography, why aren't they called the iOS numbers? After all, that would be the correct acronym. Well, the International Organization for Standardization decided to confuse the entire world by, instead of choosing an acronym to represent their company name, they chose ISO, which comes from the Greek root isos, meaning equal. The only problem is, it's just one letter off from what their acronym would be. So that's why there's so much confusion about the correct way to say ISO. But there's a good reason for all this. And instead of explaining it to you, I'll let you hear it from the horse's mouth. This is taken from the website of the International Organization for Standardization. And they say, quote, "Because International Organization for Standardization would have different acronyms in different languages, iOS in English, OIN in French, our founders decided to give it the short form ISO. ISO is derived from the Greek isos, meaning equal. Whatever the country, whatever the language, the short form of our name is always ISO." So there you have it. The ISO doesn't stand for anything. It's not an acronym. And there is no International Standards Organization. But there is an International Organization for Standardization. And the correct way to say it is ISO. I'm Nick Carver. Be sure to visit my website at nickcarverphotography.com to check out articles, tips, how-tos, and online courses. Thanks for watching.